Hello again, friends and enemies. Ow. Yeah, so I was outside for a while. Then the depression kicked in. I made sure little Koo had her bath. And then I started talking about how copyright law was changed because of lobbyists. And my dad basically went full authoritarian and basically said, hey, why not kill all of the lobbyists and the politicians who... It's like, no, Dad, that's murder. Don't, no. And, so yeah. It, of course, then further devolved into the same argument that we always have, where he basically tries to tell me I'm crazy for being non-binary, and basically where he's generally transphobic as... So... Yeah, I try to talk about something I'm genuinely interested in, that I genuinely have to know for school. And it turns into that. It's just, I'm just a little bit disheartened that no matter what I talk about with anyone in this family, it turns into them condemning me for being trans. So, I need the feel goods, and now that I'm finally calmed down enough, let's get back to the daily quests, shall we? Okay. As per usual, if you are a member of my Discord server, you may join the conversation at any time. From there, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, etc., etc. Blah, blah, blah. General manufacturing authenticity for fun and profit bullshit. Now for leyline stuffs. Chase me, chase me, chase me, chase me at your own peril.
Dance. Ready, steady, go!
This moment will be frozen in time. Dodge this!
Pick up everything that got dropped by the baddies. So, here's what happened with that fire, right? So, I got told one thing. I did the one thing. Turns out the one thing wasn't what she actually wanted. So I wound up being outside for a very long time, and, like, as I said, it didn't turn out well. Like, at all. And And, you know, I wish it could have been different, you know? Like, I wish I had 100% understood what the instructions were perfectly without her yelling at me and accusing me of being the one who started it, when no, she was the one who did. She was the one who basically brought up, hey, do you want to burn trash? And I'm like, yeah, but not right now, because there's too much wood on the pile. And stuff like that. And, for lack of a better way to put it, like, she tried to gaslight me over that. Something that simple. And then, like, admittedly, like, immediately after that, they thought, you know what, maybe we should go ahead and make sure Koo gets another bath in, because she's been outside a lot. I'm like, okay, fine. So, we wash my dog, and she's nice and clean and fluffy again. But then, I think I mentioned this before you popped up, but started talking about intellectual property law and copyright and how Disney lobbied Congress by, like, literally paying Congress people off, because weirdly, bribery is fine as long as you're doing it through a political action campaign. It's like, yeah, that's the big downside of giving corporations the same rights as human beings. Anywho, what I was gonna say was, basically from there, it all went downhill. Dad basically said he wanted to execute any politician who would lobby using money. Like any politician who would accept lobbying money. It's like, wait, no, Dad, that's murder. And it then devolved to him basically saying that I was only saying that because I believe myself to be trans, and that the definition of trans changing, and the definition of trans even existing was because of some other BS and words, and basically he was being bigoted. And I basically was like, no, I was talking about one thing, and you were the one who turned it into something entirely different. I never changed the meaning of the word lobbying, neither did the left. Lobbying is and has always included attempts to bribe, because the definition of lobbying is just that broad. There will always be lobbying, regardless of how it's done. The U.S. tried to limit it, which is what he based his definition of lobbying off of. But the thing is, bribery is a form of lobbying too. Oh, that's how he got to transphobia. The whole definitions of words changing thing. Because his assumed definition of lobbying was based off of the 1946 attempt to change the definition of lobbying, not off of the original definition of lobbying, which included bribery. Huh. Okay, now it tracks. Sorry. Yeah. His brain, like, I'm never gonna say my dad's a good person. I'm never gonna say he's a flat-out bad person. But the things he does, things he says, they're just, they're hurtful, and they are evil. Whether or not it's really him or it's the meds, I'm not gonna try to give an excuse for the things he does. He should know that I'm non-binary because I am me. I'm not a boy, I'm not a girl. I'm sometimes a boy, I'm sometimes a girl. Most of the time I'm just a person who doesn't want to be any gender, but literally my gender moves around more than any other aspect of my self-perception. So I'm missing one ascension item for her. Okay. Let's go ahead and go to the nearest ley line opening. Ooh, one right next to a teleporter. That's convenient. I think it's the same one I've been doing, where they... Yeah? Yeah.
I'll protect us.
Freeze! Windblade!
Hi. Oh. Hi.
Cool it! Dodge this! Freeze! Cool it! Oh, so sorry. This doesn't look good. Disappear!
So yeah, I'm an emotional and mental wreck. And it has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with the fact that I'm in a situation that I can't get out of, involving people who genuinely would rather see me for who I used to pretend to be, and who they believed me to be, and who they wanted me to be, rather their ideal, rather than, you know, who I am. And it hurts, like, a lot. And so let me say this: if you are in an accepting family, that's amazing, and I'm very happy for you. Congratulations on having parents who actually live up to the bare minimum of human decency. I don't have that. Like, they'll allow me to live here rent-free on the condition I do unpaid labor for them, at if effectively based on what unpaid labor, like, if I were being paid even just local standard, which is less than 15 an hour, like, even, like, if I were just getting paid the local standard, yeah, I would be making more working for them than what it takes to rent a single room around here. Like, I could rent a 2-bedroom house for what I'd be making around here.
Dodge this!
And like I'd be able to afford an internet bill, everything. Like, local wages around here are higher than they were the last place I lived. Still not 15 an hour, but pretty close. Wait, are they healing? The mages are healing them. Okay, crap. Like, they literally, like, jumped off the cliff to follow me, and... Huh. Okay. See what happens. Anyway, so, long story short. Effectively, even removing room and board, I would be making, roughly, an additional $500 every 2 weeks. In comparison to what the equivalent of renting a room is and the amount of food I eat. Meaning, in no uncertain terms, my parents are exploiting me for free labor. It's... Like, okay. They have very different definitions of what free work should be. I mean, they are paying my brother to build a deck for them, even though he insisted no payment. But, like, they're not paying me for living with them and doing the things they want. So, like, okay. With the amount of work I do for them, it would cover my room, my board, and roughly $1,000 additional every month. If they were actually paying me what the local wage around here was. And to be fair, if I actually reported my hours like an employee and actually, like, didn't massively undercharge them. Because I did repeatedly massively undercharge them for what work I did do for them. But if I wasn't undercharging them, it would be room, board, plus an additional $1,000 a month, $500 every 2 weeks, depending on who you ask. It's like, yeah, I'm not getting any of that. I'm just getting the free room and board. So, yeah, there's that. Like, I love my parents, but they don't love me for who I am. I love them because they are still the two oldest influences in my life. But just because I love my parents doesn't mean I have to accept the things they do. Like, they use that same logic to justify not loving the fact I'm gay, so why can't I use it to justify not liking the fact they are basically homophobic and transphobic? I mean, admittedly, they'd say, but now you're talking back. It's like, no. With the measure you use to measure, Mom and Dad. Like, if it's good, if that standard is good enough for God, it's good enough for me. Measured once, measured twice, found lacking. They literally aren't the best parents in the world. I will never call them the best parents in the world because that would be a lie. They did the best they could with what their beliefs allowed them to do and allowed them to think.
Windblade. Cool it. Disappear. Dodge this. Cool it. Windblade. Freeze.
I love them, but I don't love their behavior. I don't love their choices. Especially since their choices are genuinely in the direction of telling me that I'm crazy because I believe what the rest of the world has come to realize about my identity, that it's perfectly normal. We're living in the 21st century. It's not the 1980s anymore. My dad can't just punch somebody for saying something he doesn't like anymore.
Cool it.
He can't be the bully, and he doesn't like it.
Dodge this.
And the thing is, the only person he has around to bully other than Mom is me. He does bully Mom. And like, he'd rather bully me than bully Mom because he doesn't want to run the risk of Mom eventually wising up and filing for divorce. So it's like, had to take his pick. Either continue bullying and abusing me while laughing with my little brother. Ooh, look at this stupid trans person. And by that I mean he was basically laughing at me because he didn't think that I might hear and either think it was about me or think it was a personal attack against me because I'm the only trans person he knows. And any attack on the trans community is an attack on me personally, because whatsoever you do to the least of these, my brothers, you do so unto me, right? Like, again, the standard. If it's good enough for God, measure once, measure twice. Measured 1,000 times at this point, and no matter how many times I measure,
This moment will be frozen in time.
he still refuses. To grow up and move on. Yeah, I'm working for them full time without pay. Yes, that
Freeze.
That says more about him than it does about me.
What's the hurry?
Let's dance.
With the wind!
Let the show begin.
Dodge this!
La, 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 la.
It says that he's willing to treat his firstborn child, whom he believes to be his son, rather than who his firstborn child really is, his firstborn child. Like, he'd rather treat his firstborn child like a slave than even a servant. And sure, what parent wouldn't, when his child asks for food, give him a stone? Sorry, what parent would, when his child asked for bread, give him a stone? But my dad literally wanted to give me charcoal in my stocking one year. It's like Christmas is supposed to be about fun, and I'll admit, he said he was gonna do it as a joke. There's always been that part of me that worried that he might be serious. And when anybody in our family brings up anything around my dad, he finds a way to make it some owning the libs moment. And it's like, no, Dad, one, the conservatism that you preach is a form of liberalism. You've literally forgotten what it means to be conservative. Because yes, conservative values are generally dog shit. But what he's espousing aren't even conservative values, they're worse. They take conservatism and turn it into fascism, basically. Like, my dad isn't a fascist, but he is proto-fascist enough that I'm willing to bet he wouldn't bat an eyelash if someone in his family, say, hypothetically predicted that a Republican president would put kids in cages. But he wouldn't bat an eyelash if, say, hypothetically, said Republican president that wound up doing it several years later was the person he voted for. Like, I'm willing to bet he wouldn't bat an eyelash at the fact that the person who predicted that was his own firstborn child and wouldn't care that his firstborn child tried to predict things and predicted them accurately. And when I pointed out that it was Republicans who had already started setting up concentration camps here in the United States before Trump did what he did, Like, to the point where they even personally called it concentration camps, keeping people in highly concentrated areas as a camp rather than as a prison, but also as a prison at the same time, and basically torturing people. Like, when I pointed out that, no, like, seriously, that was actually happening. And that someone had actually said it. When I pointed that out, he was like, oh, that had to have been staged. It's like, no. Joe Arpaio was literally that evil of a human being. And I don't know how to handle that, because I've told him. I've shown him the proof before his very eyes, and still, nothing. It's baffling. Four more times. Let's take a look at my fragile resin count real quick. Oh look, I've got a free wish. Use it later. More leyline stuffs. Yeah, like, there's nothing I can do. There is literally nothing either I or the forces of God, even if it was his God, even if it was my God, it doesn't matter. The power of God himself would not be enough to sway my dad from his political beliefs. Like, even if there was a road to Damascus moment, my dad would probably be like, where's the wires?
Let's dance. I'll protect us.
Cool it.
This is all a liberal hoax to get me to believe some bullshit. It'd have to be aliens, he'd probably say. And it's like, no. Like, your firstborn child was blessed with all of the magical talents of their foremothers that skipped my parents' generation. My grandma's talents, her mother's talents. I inherited all of them, including mild prophecy on occasion, and occasional bursts of being able to, at the very least, understand languages without needing to cast a spell or learn the language. Occasionally, not like actually like full on do it, like I genuinely want to learn languages. But it's really hard when I've got literally a cheat code on standby. It's like, oops. Yeah, no. So, like, I am blessed with divine purpose, I guess, glorious purpose, if you will, that is not my own, and doesn't serve me, personally, at all. And even the words of someone who has been touched by the gods, even those are not enough to sway him from his bigotry. It's at that point I realized, there's nothing I can do. And I gave up all hope for my dad at that point. I had to use, when I was younger, I had to use stories about angels to explain my gender identity, because angels and God were the only things that I knew of that could possibly have no gender or a lack of gender or multiple genders or all that. And so I told a story. I tried to explain how maybe I was an angel, because I didn't know. I didn't understand at the time that I was non-binary, right? It was literally as simple as I was trying to find out who I was, trying to find my identity, and I was condemned as being crazy. And that was back then. When I tried to explain, so yeah, no, this is why I told those stories when I was younger, because I was genuinely trying to figure out who I was, and there were no words, because you were literally keeping me away from other members of the LGBT community, right? I was like, I told him, like, no, like, had I known what non-binary people were, or that they even existed when I was younger, I might not have told those stories.
Let the show begin.
I might not have made myself seem crazy to them had I been allowed to know. But then he then calls me crazy for knowing who I am, because obviously I don't know who I am, because I must be a boy. And it's like, no, I'm not a boy, I'm not a girl. Like, sometimes I'm a boy, sometimes I'm a girl, sometimes I'm neither. Sometimes I'm both. Really depends on the day. It really depends on where I'm at mentally and emotionally at any given moment. And I try to explain that, and he still calls me crazy. I have words for what I am now. I'm not telling wild, fanciful stories. Yeah, I'm gifted with all of the talents that my foremothers had access to, but that's jack shit. Literally, in comparison to everything else in this world, it's literally nothing.
Freeze. Cool it.
I'm not special. My gifts are, yeah, sure, they may give me a little bit of an advantage, and I was born white passing, so
Dodge this. Oh, so sorry.
so I have the privilege of looking like I'm
Push your
white,
luck.
just like my family and my family's family before it, so I've got generations of appearing to be a white person when I'm actually hereditarily Jewish. And it's like, yeah, there's that.
Don't push your luck. Don't push your luck.
Let's dance. I'll protect us.
Wind blade.
So yeah, I do have advantages. And, you know, it would be nice if I could say that those advantages wound up helping me a lot. But where those advantages give me a leg up in some places, they do jack squat to help me in others. Because I'm non-binary, it's harder for me to find a job. Especially around here where casual transphobia is literally the buzzword of the day. It's harder for me to see the world in a fair light, or even a medium light, you know? Like, I see the world through the eyes of the persecuted. I know enough about my family's history to know that we're all
The show.
dealing with multi-generational trauma and just can't cope, right?
With the wind!
But the thing is, rather than deal with multi-generational trauma of we are Jewish, our families have been Jewish all this time, and we're persecuted constantly because we're Jewish, rather than face that,
Ready, steady, go!
rather than face that unifying identity that we could all, like, accept as a part of our family history, because it literally is, right? He'd rather think he's persecuted because he's a Christian. It's like, no. Like, we're persecuted for a very, very simple reason. Our ancestors were slaves
Don't get frostbite.
to literally every foreign country that conquered their kingdom. And after centuries of that, and centuries of stereotypes, and millennia
Cool it.
of bad faith actions on the part of rulers and different empires, the King of England kidnapped an entire village of people who were our ancestors, effectively, and brought them with him to England in order to justify him taking certain actions against the Catholic Church. And everyone with a last name starting in AD who can trace their origin back to England or to France is descended from that one village that got kidnapped, right? So there's that. Our heritage is, we're Jewish. There's no way around it. We are, on my dad's side of the family, Jewish. There's literally no way around it. Like, just the existence of our last name has to do with us being very, very old, pre-German, like pre the existence of the German language, Jewish people. Like, our ancestors were and will always be Jewish. Add on to that the fact that my great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather was an abolitionist and very anti-slavery. To the point where basically he got ostracized and our family's name was stricken off of the founding charter of the county we currently live in because we were deemed too tolerant. So, add on to all of that, there's also that. So, all the historical baggage of being Jewish, and then the historical baggage of being an abolitionist in an area that was very, very pro-slavery. Like, we're from the part of Illinois that was literally like slavery adjacent.
Disappear! Freeze! Dodge this! Cool it! Oh, so sorry. Freeze!
It's gonna hurt in the morning.
Cool it!
Why do they never miss?
Then that serves as the base template for the generational trauma that my father experiences but has no conscious outlet for, right?
Come on, let's get moving.
Penny's adventure team.
We're not frozen in place after all.
Now, on top of that, me personally, I have to deal with, additionally, the trauma of me being gay in a region that genuinely doesn't accept me.
Dodge this!
Then, add on to that, the Nazis literally attacking, and it's like, you know. So, funny story about Illinois District 15. We were home to a neo-Nazi cell. Or two. More like three. And the Ku Klux Klan regularly tries to recruit from here. Because of just how conservative this region is. It's that bad. So, So one of those cells was responsible for the majority of my trauma, partially because I almost became a member, because they were in the process of trying to recruit me and failing. But as soon as they found out that I was gay, well, they decided, well, rather than recruit me, they'd kill me. And I didn't even realize they were trying to recruit me, because I was genuinely just believing they were a Bible study group, and the naive kid I was back then, I genuinely believed that they were just regular, ordinary conservatives, yeah? I was like, no. No, they weren't. So, the realization that the people I thought were my friends literally wanted to kill me. Admittedly, that was sort of my road to Damascus moment, personally. In more ways than one, because a god literally showed up to save my butt. And it wasn't the Christian one, I'll assure you that. And later, one of the Indogda's adherents healed my wounds, and not like healed, like not like magic heal, but like made sure I was bandaged up, okay? Hey, Raichu. She made sure I was bandaged up, okay? And made sure I was safe to move around before letting me go home. She set up a tent in the woods and everything.
Hunter
So that happened. Then I had my breakdown. I've recounted this like a million different times. But, like, I was not well for a very long time. I barely remember most of my time living in Carbondale, to be completely honest. I remember the good. I remember the really, really, really bad. But that's about it. Cliff's Notes version. And it's like, yeah, after that,
Freeze!
yeah, like, it's like, I'm glad I pulled myself out when I did, of because my brain was not well. Like, I legitimately was incapable of
Windblade!
Let's light it up!
I was literally incapable of feeling my own emotions or even my own soul for the longest time. Now I'm back. Have been for a little over a year or so.
With the wind!
It was, it's actually, hang on. I can actually give you the exact date. It was... Yeah, I think it was Halloween. Halloween 2019, yeah. Was when I pulled myself out. So, like... Not that long ago. I've basically lost about 5 years worth of memories. From most of 2015 and a good chunk of 2016. Almost all of 2016. TBH, but...
Don't get frostbite. Cool it. Dodge this.
But yeah, I'm a better person now than I was back then. I learned my lesson. Conservatives, on the whole, can't be friends.
Windblade.
I just genuinely can't. And American conservatives are worse because they're not even really conservative. They're fascists, meaning they're also a type of liberal. So there's that.
Benny's Adventure Team, assemble!
Like, I can tell my story like it's nothing without triggering myself now. Been able to for a little over... It was like a month or two after I pulled myself out. So anyway, like, when I was younger, I would used to just say my parents are awful people for the hell of it, and not really understand why. But the thing is, like, deep down I knew they wouldn't let me be myself. Like, every single time I tried to come out, or I admitted who I was publicly, somebody would have a violent freakout. Namely my baby brother, but, I mean... And of course my parents would take his side. Okay, so... Give me a minute. So I need to do this another... So it's 20. It's 20 per. So that would be 600? That can't be right. No, it'd be 300. 300 minus... Ow. Stomach. Let's just do basic subtraction then. 7,000... No, I'm tired. 700... 680. 680 divided by 20. Well, the 10 would make it 68, then by 2. And, like, again, I love my parents. I do. But, like, back then, I didn't know what I was doing. Now I do. Yeah, the way they treat me isn't necessarily 100% the best. It's still better than some parents I know. but I'm just never gonna say they're the best parents. And it's easier than saying they told me I might as well just destroy my computer and then tried to make me think it was my idea. And continue to try to say that it was my idea when no. No, like I never wanted to destroy my computer. I wanted to keep both my sexual orientation and my porn watching habits to myself rather than destroy my own computer twice. Thank you very much. It was their idea. Like, between the gaslighting and the transphobia and the homophobia, I'm not gonna ever vouch for my parents when it comes to their moral character. I'm never gonna say they're good. Like, is it a stretch to call them evil? Not really. It's there. The word kind of fits. But at the same time, they're... Like, I'm not gonna say they are. They're just people. Really, really, really. Depressingly transphobic and homophobic. Who I have to live with and work for unpaid. And put up with the constant transphobic abuse. The further I keep my emotions distanced from what is actually happening, the more I dissociate from the trauma now, the less severe it will be. And I finally face it. In anywhere from I don't know. Between now and my next panic attack. Because literally, like, that's what I've learned. Like, I have to literally dissociate from my own trauma in order to keep myself from feeling it directly. And even then, like, dissociating in the moment makes my PTSD a little bit more manageable for new trauma that gets added, because it's already really bad for the stuff that... Oh boy. The stuff that I've already gone through, like, way back in the past, real big oof. Real big oof.
Another test.
Dodge this. With the wind.
I am who I am. I am they. Like, sometimes I'm he, sometimes I'm she, sometimes I'm they, sometimes I'm I. Why do pronouns even need to exist? Like, why can't we just all call each other people? Sometimes I'm like, why do we cling to these useless constructs that we call words? Like, the very concept of existing sometimes is just a lot. So, like, and I am attracted to boys. Is that abnormal for someone who is a they? Not really. It's not abnormal for any human being. Whether they be boy or girl or like me. Or even worse, someone who's a set non-binary gender, and like me, who I have the luxury of my gender is literally all over the place at all times. So like I have that luxury of like also being like, I don't know what I could be without actually being confused, because it's not confusion, it's literally just my gender moves. That's literally all it is. It's fluid. It's not a gold gender, it's a Mercury gender. It's a fluid, not a solid. Yeah? So rather than trying to bind myself to a solid concept, like boy or girl, going with something that's neutral makes sense. So, non-binary. Instead of he or she, it's they. Not having any set societal construct tied up in my own existence is kind of freeing. You know? To have someone constantly tell me that that which freed me from hell, knowing who I am, isn't real. Just oof. And like, on a spiritual and metaphysical sense, technically I have seen literal hell. And it's a nightmare. But it's not the place I'm gonna wind up. I don't hate my parents. I don't even regret or have guilt over the things that my parents have done or said, because it isn't my fault. None of it is. Yeah, sure, I regret the things they do, but not because it's something that they do, because it's something they aren't willing to change. It's not a me problem, it's a them problem. And so I don't regret it enough to wind up trapped in hell for all eternity dealing with them. You know?
Windblade.
I lived through my torment here on Earth while I was alive. And thus shall be free of it in the afterlife.
You can't run.
And if the originators of my name are unwilling to accept me for who I am, then it's their loss. Because even the name I chose is a name that they gave me. It's just a shortened version of one. Because a shorter version can be short for anything. Tony can be a boy's name, it can be a girl's name, it can be a person's name. Names are just things you give to people who you care about. And my parents gave me both the name Anthony and the name Paul. They put Paul first, admittedly, but Anthony was my second name, my middle name. Yes, I was named after a saint, or two. Shows you how uber Christian my family became over the generations. But
Get back. taste blood.
After right, man, into the fight!
With the wind!
So when they basically deny calling me Tony, they're denying a part of the name they gave me. I guess it's my own way of trolling them on their own transphobia, yeah? Surprise, surprise. I'm not probably going to change my legal name for a very long time. And Tony is gender neutral. And, like, I'm not ever going to deny the name that my parents gave me. Heck, I'm not even going to deny that I was assigned male at birth. Like, 90% of acknowledging who you are if you're trans is acknowledging where you came from, right? Like, who people assumed you to be, not who you became, not who you were, but who you allowed people to see you as. And when I was younger, because my parents assigned me male at birth, rather the doctors did, an entire socio-economic and political system kicked in to try to reinforce something that wasn't true. Because I'm not a man. I'm not a woman either. I mean, sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. For both of them. So yeah, if my parents want to continue to misgender me for the rest of what feasibly could be called my existence,
like meat?
And be dreadful. Mondstadt be bombed.
I'm hungry. Let's hunt. I smell rabbit.
But you know, nothing is more lonely than having parents who don't accept you for who you are. And then have them still want you to live with them. And none of your friends are willing / able to join a VC with you while you're streaming. Yeah, I'm just gonna stop streaming for tonight after we check in at the Adventurers Guild. I'm gonna keep playing, but I'm bumming myself out even more because, again, the reason I'm playing this now instead of actually like sticking to my old schedule. I'm really, really fucking depressed, if you can't tell. And that's becoming a more and more existential thing with every passing moment. So I'm like, yeah, I'm existentially depressed, and I need to just acknowledge that and move on. So with that in mind, ladies, gentlemen, everyone in between, everyone exempt, everyone